You've been hanging on. I'm a speed bump. You got to get out of here. Let's see what we can do for you. First off, I just want to say thanks to Metro State for giving us the opportunity as a unit to perform in this gym day in and day out, and also the better opportunity to get an education at a great school. And I do want to thank Metro State and the Hall of Fame for allowing our family to come in to be a mark on a wall and hopefully push people to a higher level of performance. So that needs to be said. And the other thing that needs to be said about Natasha and Steph is that not only is it an honor to come in with them, and I mean that sincerely, but if you said, give me one word about Steph, if I was paying attention, it was her competitive. She's just a competitor, but I put it in a competitive spirit. Steph, that's the one thing that you never have to apologize for. It takes its own form, and even within the confines of this gym, and I watched almost all your games, I will tell you right now, it was the reason that it morphed to your other teammates why you guys won so many games, and it was true. And so you can take that, but I'm telling you right now, never apologize, because this whole thing is built on competition. And the competition is within yourself. And sometimes it can go outward, but that's okay, because I got some of that in me too. So we're kindred spirits. Natasha, one word, humility. Highly intelligent, obviously blessed with the confines of her mother and understanding that there was a higher purpose for her operating. She would share that with you if you asked her. She wouldn't if you didn't. But that's the way that she had a touch about her. I loved watching her play because she was all about team. She had gifts. She could have played this game by herself if she wanted. Wasn't her way. She shared her success, nailed it, and again, athletically, what we're trying to do here as a program is invest in other programs. It's never about us. It's never about our own program. Example given, exactly what I'm talking about. We were fortunate, but we got on a spot on CBS that's the most watched spot other than the final game on the NC2A, because that's when the Final Four is decided. So when the Division II game is being played, those sponsorships are at a premium. Chevrolet, you can check this out, because you have everybody from the different regions watching the second half of the Division II game. What that meant in a marketing terms to Metro State was a branding. And what that did is it brought national recognition to a university that had anonymity nationally, but certainly not within its own community. One of the things that I learned when I was interviewing for the job was that if you looked left or you looked right, 1 in every 4 people within a radius of 25 miles was touched by Metro State, either in a single class or a degree, and it was the best kept secret in this community, no doubt. From day one I learned that, and so we had an opportunity to champion the mission statement of the university. I don't know about front porches. What I do understand in terms of athletics is that we're ambassadors, our players are ambassadors for a much bigger cause, and that's the mission statement of Metro State, and it's highlighted with diversity. Young, old, poor, rich, second chance. That's why I love being here for the 9 years. Now, again, I highlight that because we all have to know our purpose, and that was our purpose as a program, is to wrap our arms around the other programs, be it academic, be it admissions with Paul Caesar. That's what we were about. And I think that, again, if you said who's the greatest ambassador now in terms of the athletic department, it has to be Joan. She's been here, she's carried the flag longer than anybody. We were talking about that last night because I was just trying to get the years down. They go by. But that's statistical, it's no joke. And she's humble enough to be able to take on causes and move the chains forward on a lot of political things, a lot of money things that nobody sees. So it just gives me an opportunity to touch that, because the presenters had talked about that, talked about her. But again, I think that she's going to push on and be here as long as she wants to be here, and we hope that she'll be here until she retires. That's the way I feel about it. It's real simple. My theme is one word: gratitude. And it has a name, it has a face, it has a voice. And what we do is when we take young men and women in here, we develop a voice. It's not our voice. It's their voice, and it's bringing it forward, it's growing it. And then last night, when you see 30 to 40 men with their families, their trademarks, their personalities, their opinions, the only thing that I wanted to do was sit back and watch. It was a lot of fun to have an excuse to get together with all of those people and just listen about their lives, what their dreams are. They're in action. They're doing. They're the youth. So for me, that was very important. And I'm very, very grateful. And I have a list. And I'm going to try something that's a little outside of the box here. But I want to make sure that by the time that we leave here and you look to your left and you look to your right, that everybody is acknowledged. I think that's very, very important, because sometimes when you're up here and you have a little bit of angst about speaking, you can forget people that are of the utmost importance. So I have a certain way of doing this, which I thought about for a little bit. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to take you through my journey very quickly, bang, like that. My mother and father were representatives. They're the ones that were responsible for implanting the values that I had, and then I share those with others, but yet I don't jam them down their throats. So I have to pay tribute and homage to my mother and my father. And then, as a good friend so adroitly said to me the other day, is, when is Molly getting inducted into the Hall of Fame? Well, he was right. She is being inducted tonight. So without further ado, my wife. That gets me about 24 hours, everybody. That's it. That's it. All right, and of course I have my eldest Holt, center stage, and then Spencer, and then Ellie. And again, they're the crown jewels. Those are the representatives, whether we like it or not. Our children are our report cards, for good or for bad, and that just is the way it is. And I'm glad that all of you are aces, but I'm glad you're here tonight, and I love you dearly. And again, I have to position myself emotionally in a position of intensity right now, because the other side would be just serious tears and cupcake, and I can't do that right now, so sorry. And then, in terms of my family, my presenter, Pete Newell, has been a part of my family, a mentor, of course, as you can see, brilliant, articulate, a teacher. And so I surround myself with people. His family has taken me in. His father was a jewel for the United States for basketball, an ambassador into Japan. On the women's side, he crossed it all, did it all. But again, Pete Jr., I call him Pistol, all right, is a mentor of mine, is a part of my family. And the other person that he mentioned is Ed Gorgon, and he's the one who brought me into the business when I was at Loyola. So you just can't bypass those people and not mention them. So I want to thank you very, very much, Pistol, for being here. And you don't know this, but he hates to fly, so he drove from Las Vegas to do the presentation tonight. Shaping, what does that mean? It means that my journey was Ed Gorgon. I was an assistant for that particular person, then George Raveling, George Carl, Lute Olson, Ernie Kent, and Steve Lavin now. So I draw from those databases, I draw from their example, and again, the one thing that they say, whether it's Malcolm Gladwell in terms of the outliers, or it's Good to Great and Jim Collins, or it could be Bounce by Syed, the one thing that you definitely have to do to be competent in this business is have knowledge. And then purposeful, meaningful direction as a teacher. You have to take that knowledge and put it into a methodology that makes sense. And Coach talked about it, and he said, what's the buy-in? What's the buy-in for the youth today? What are they on to? Are you up to speed with where they're at? And so very quickly, I would just say that those are the things that I learned from those coaches that I just mentioned. I'm the ultimate thief. All right, when we talk about administration and staff and bring it to Metro State, think of the pyramid that Wooden talked about. The base is fat, and at the top you have the fulcrum. I don't look at it that way. Flip it, and it's an actual funnel. All right? So the pyramid standing on top of its head is the vision, is the way that I look at it, is that you have to have your core, and that's your family. And then you're working like this to those people, the support people. Because when you talk about gratitude, I am last in line compared to what was done here in the nurturing. I just listened to a talk last week down in Orlando, and one of the guys that spoke said that on your campus you have the answers. All the answers that you need are not in some bookstore, they're not there, they're on your campus. Metro State is rich with answers, and they're people. They're the people that work here tirelessly, they don't get acknowledged by the Hall of Fame. And all I'm saying to you is that it starts for me with the administration here, and that was Kaplan at the time, but we all know that the prime mover for getting this thing done, as already mentioned by Joan, was Joe Arcease. That's a fact. It was just done that way. And the one thing that I've watched closely with Dr. Jordan and him coming in is right person, right time, take this thing to the next level. And there's no doubt about it. You've come in the hardest of times, in my opinion, not only because you had some pretty nice goods here, but you had to take it and raise it and move it, and you are moving the chains, no doubt about it. Ruthie, your big support on that. I know you're right in there behind him, but that is just enormous. And so my exercise at this particular time is anybody that is here that's at a table that has the label of administrator or staff, and that could be admissions. Paul, don't you dare sit down. I want you to stand up. Please stand up. Administration and staff. Thank you. Now we go to the athletic director. The athletic director that hired me was Bill Hellman. A year later, Joan took over, and here we go. All right. Not only was she a tremendous leader, and she was a coach who had a national championship of her own right, but she was someone that could deliver a velvet hammer. And when I was out of line, and I was many times, all right, she was good about nudging me or just backhanding me or whatever she had to do, but she got me pointed in the right direction, as she did with a lot of other coaches here.